$2? That's all she's worth? The jeer cut through the dusty air of the town square. The crowd roared with cruel laughter, but they went silent when the cowboy stepped forward. Everyone expected him to claim the frightened bride. Instead, he dropped to his knees, and what happened next made her scream in shock and relief. The sun was sinking behind the desert hills, painting the small frontier town in shades of fire and dust. The square was crowded, boots scraping against wood, spurs jangling, voices buzzing with excitement. Tonight, the townsfolk had gathered for a tradition that had lasted longer than anyone cared to admit. The auction dot at the center. A trembling young girl stood on the platform. Her white dress looked borrowed, too big for her frame. Her face was pale, her lips pressed tight. She wasn't there by choice. Her father, a once wealthy man who had lost everything to debt and cards, had pushed her into this humiliation to settle what he owed. The auctioneer bellowed like it was entertainment. "What's a fine young bride? Worth tonight, gentlemen? Who's got the coin? $5, shouted one man. $3.50, yelled another, but the bids were mockery, thrown like stones. $2, someone called from the back, and the crowd erupted in laughter. To them, it was a show. To her, it was change dot. She looked out at the sea of faces and felt her heart hammering. Tears stung her eyes, but she bit them back. Crying here would only feed their cruelty. Then the crowd shifted. A tall cowboy walked forward, boots crunching on the dirt, hat shadowing his eyes. He looked out of place among the jeers, silent, steady, carrying no arrogance, only calm strength. When he spoke, his voice was low but firm. $2. The square roared with laughter again. A cowboy for a bride. Someone sneered. Another spat in the dirt. But the auctioneer slammed his gavel down. Sold. The girl's knees nearly gave way. Her breath caught as the cowboy's shadow stretched across the platform. She braced herself for the rough claim, for the hand that would drag her away, but then it happened. The cowboy stepped forward slowly, then dropped down to one knee. The crowd gasped. Dust swirled in the fading light as his hat dipped low. His voice carried across the square, steady and clear. "I didn't pay $2 to own you," he said. "I paid $2 so no one else could." The girl's lips parted in disbelief. Her knees buckled, and from her throat tore a scream not of terror, but of shock, of release. A sound so raw it silenced the entire town. Tears streamed down her face as she clutched her chest. Freedom. The word echoed inside. Her like thunder. The cowboy lifted his eyes to hers. "You're free now, miss. Free to walk away. Free to start at zero, on your own terms." The crowd shifted uneasily. For years, they had cheered this cruel ritual, never questioning it. Now shame pressed down on them like a heavy weight. Men who had jeered minutes ago lowered their heads. Women who had stayed silent wiped their eyes. Her father stood at the edge of the square, face red, pride shattered. He expected disgrace. Instead, he watched his daughter collapse into tears of joy, finally released from his debts. The cowboy rose slowly, placed the $2 on the wooden platform, and tipped his hat. "That's the price of her freedom," he said. "And it's worth more than all the gold in this town." He turned to walk away, boots crunching against the dirt. But the girl stumbled forward, grabbing his arm. Her voice, trembling yet strong, rang out for the first time that night. "You paid $2 to set me free. That's worth more than any fortune." The crowd erupted not in laughter this time, but in applause. Rough ranch hands clapped. Shopkeepers tipped their hats. Even the hardened drifters gave nods of respect. The auctioneer stood frozen, his gavel useless in his hand. His cruel show had been broken forever. The cowboy gently removed the girl's hand from his arm. "Your life's your own now," he said softly. "Make it count," and without waiting for thanks or glory, he walked into the fading sunset, his silhouette glowing against the fire-red sky. The townsfolk never forgot that night. The cruel tradition died there in the dust. And the story of the cowboy who paid $2 not to claim, but the free spread like wildfire across the frontier. This story reminds us, True strength isn't in power or wealth, but in choosing respect when the world expects cruelty. Sometimes the bravest act is not to take but to set free. Do you agree the cowboy was the true hero? Comment your thoughts below. Subscribe for more powerful emotional stories that reveal silent heroes and hidden strength.